Hello Year 5, we've made it through the week to Friday, week 4 of our final maths session of the week. So we're going to begin today with some arithmetic practice. On the screen now, like the last couple of weeks, you've got two choices of black questions or red questions. So choose a level of challenge which you think is good for you to have a go at. And if you pause the video now, you can work through these problems. So here we have our answers, and you can now mark your own work for us, and we'd love to see how you've got on with these today. Our final session of the week then is Can I Solve Problems with Units of Measure? We're going to be continuing to draw on our knowledge of conversions in order to solve some different measure problems today. So how will we be successful? We're going to obviously, like I say, need knowledge of converting units of measure. We're going to need to develop that skill of multiplying and dividing by 10, 100 and 1000 in some cases. And we are going to need to apply the addition and subtraction skills that we have been working on over the past couple of weeks, and actually the whole year, to make sure we're drawing on the best method we can use to solve that problem. So you might like to pause the video now just to have a little look at this question, maybe thinking about what do you notice, what might be the problem with this question at the moment, and what do you think it is asking us to do? I'll read it to you and then you can pause the video. A piece of ribbon measures 4 meters. If I cut off 130 centimeters, how much do I have left? Okay, so let's have a look at that together. You'll notice there was a bar model, definitely going to be needing to use those today, so I've left that there as a really key thing for us to do. A piece of ribbon measures 4 meters. Thinking straight away about what knowledge do I need to help me. If I cut off 130 centimeters, straight away I need to remind myself that in 100 centimeters there is 1 meter. Therefore, in 130 centimeters, there is going to be 1 meter, 0.3 of a meter. And the question says, if I cut off, really important, if you cut something off, 130 centimeters, how much do I have left? What operation do you think we may be using there? Yeah, we're looking at subtraction, we're taking away. So we now have to think about how do we want to calculate these. Now you can see from what knowledge I have, I've converted my 130 centimetres into metres, 1.3, but actually I prefer to calculate with whole numbers. So I'm also going to convert my 4 metres into 400 centimetres. So I can see the equivalence there is 400 centimetres. So I'm going to need to do 400 centimetres subtract 130. So my whole obviously goes in my bar model here, and I'm subtracting 130. That's why you've got this bar model here. They definitely will come in use today. Quick estimate of the answer. Well, actually, the calculation's quite straightforward. I mean, I could say 400 subtract 100. I'm looking at roughly the answer to be around 300. Now looking at those numbers, I think I could do this in my head. So I've got 400 subtract 130. I'm going to take away 100 to start with. That leaves me with 300. And then I'm going to take the 30 away from 300. So take away the 30 leaves me with 270. So my final answer here is 270. Thinking about 270 what? What unit of measure did I decide to calculate in? And that was centimetres. So it's 270 centimetres. Now, this next problem, I'm going to model to you 2 ways you could solve it. I know my preferred way to solve it, but as mathematicians we're all very different and we see things differently, and perhaps how I might calculate this and find it the most straightforward way, others may find a different way more straightforward. So I'm going to show you both ways now. The first way we can think about this question is almost physically how it would be done if we actually did have to cut off the ribbon and then cut off even more ribbon. So the question starts with a piece of ribbon measures 4 meters. If I cut off 120 centimeters and then a further 133 centimeters, how much do I have left? So we've subtracted 120 and then we need to subtract 133. So our 2 steps to our problem is to subtract once and to subtract again. So what knowledge do we have? Well, we know that 4 meters, like before, is equal to 400 centimeters. So our first step then, here's our first step here, is going to be to subtract 120 from 400 centimeters. Now actually we can probably do that calculation in our heads. We can subtract 100 from 400, which leaves us with 300, and subtract 20, which leaves us with 280. So once we've subtracted, we've cut off that first piece of ribbon, we are left with 280. Now what we're going to do is we're going to subtract again the second part of our problem. We need to subtract 133. You may wish to do this in your head, or if you're not feeling as confident with some of your mental strategies, you can always use a column method if you wish. So you'll notice here I've had to exchange. We've got 7, take away 3 is 4, 2 hundreds, take away 100 is 100. So once we have subtracted the second piece of ribbon, we are left with 147. So our final answer is 147 centimetres. Centimetres. Now, something we can actually do is think about the fact that because we are subtracting this amount and this amount, we can find the total that we're subtracting first and then subtract it. So our first step is actually addition. So you might decide, well, I want to work out the total of 120 and 133 first, and then I'm going to cut it off in one go. And that's okay as well. That's the second way to do it. So this time we're working out the total of 120 and 133. So down here then we've got 120, add 133. I'm going to use my place value knowledge here to see I've got 200, no crossing of boundaries, I've got 5 tens and I've got 3 ones. So I've got 253. So a total of 253. Now I know that I need to subtract this 253 from 400. So our total is 400. I've changed colours just to show you once again it's the second step of the problem, and I'm cutting off my rope, second step there, I'm cutting off my ribbon in one go. Okay, so once again 400 subtract 253. I'm going to subtract the 200 first of all, which leaves me with 200. Okay, and then I will do 200 subtract 53. So I'm looking at my answer being 147. And again, you can do this in your head, or you might decide you're going to use a mental calculation. Either is absolutely fine. So, 2 ways to solve these problems then. You can choose which way, if you move on to these second step problems, which way works best for you. I must put my answer in there of 147 centimetres. And we look forward to seeing your work today.